The sophomore quarterback drops back, floats into the end zone, and it's intercepted. Brisker! Wow! Brisker! What a game! Penn State!
Hello and welcome to Trading Twos, a Penn State football podcast. I am Ryan Parsons. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend Will Pegler. And Will, it's the bye week, baby.
What's up, man? Not an off week. It's a bye week, as James would say. Ready to roll and talk some updates without a game this weekend, but Oregon looming.
Yeah, we said we were going to start with the presser, but I'm just wondering if you had anything to clean up from Villanova.
I feel like we got it all. It was kind of a weird episode. I think we got a lot off our chest in terms of what is still frustrating. I've read a lot of coverage this week, too, that I think is still kind of like, look, this comes down to the Oregon game. Drew has looked funky. Nick Singleton has looked funky, who are two of the vital returning players of this team, two of the most vital players, I think, on that side of the ball. And they've looked weird. So at this point, it's like, look, stop thinking and just ball out against Oregon, and it's all good. But I'm getting more and more nervous about Oregon by the day, I think, honestly, with the struggles in my mind, the offensive struggles in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's full Oregon mode now. I even forgot Villanova was the last opponent. I had to think for an extra second when I just said that.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I wanted to close up on Villanova, and this actually segues into James's presser, so we can just switch over to that. But I think I want to dial back some of the criticism a little bit. I know we were mean to Drew and the offense a little bit. I mean, fairly so. But when James was kind of walking through in the presser on Tuesday, how they are adding a lot of stuff. There's been changes in the offseason. They're adding a lot. 3 new wide receivers. No shit, that's not going to just all work immediately. I mean, maybe it should if James was a better coach or if Koronaki was a better coordinator, but I think it makes sense a lot of it didn't work. And also in the negativity to Nick, I think we lost that Katron is having an amazing start to the season.
Yeah.
No one asked at the presser if he was RB1, which I think everyone was kind of expecting, for James to say that Nick wasn't the starter anymore.
Yeah.
But I think he has a little bit of credit due here.
Fair all around. We were negative on Sunday morning. They won the game 52-6. There's plenty of positives to take away, and even we talked about it as well. But their scoring differential in their first 3 games was something at least 100 to, I don't know what it is, 17 or however many points they allowed. All of the points really in garbage time. They've essentially had 3 shutouts against bad teams. The defense has proven they can hang with anybody. To your point, Ryan, Katron Allen is a beast. He's playing some of the best football I've seen him play, kind of carrying over from the really, really good playoff run that he had. And if it takes Nick a sec to wake up, then so be it. God bless having 2 star running backs that have a chance to both break Penn State records. I mean, imagine if Nick wasn't playing well and we only had other, freshman running backs to lean on. I mean, that's pretty crazy to think about. So you're 100% right. I'm surprised nobody asked about the RB2 thing, honestly. I feel like
someone in the comments of the YouTube video of Espresso was like, oh, because it's a foretold conclusion that Katron is RB1 now. You don't even have to ask about it, which is silly, but
I mean, has he ever, this is a tangent, but has he ever named either one of them the starter? That might be a dumb
I don't think so. I think Nick appears on the video board first, but it's it's assumed it's an or situation. They're both the starters.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but still, probably a question you ask just to see what James would say. And he'd be like, I get your point. That's what he would do. But, and then not.
Yeah, just to see how he reacted.
Yeah, exactly. Just to you thought maybe Audrey would do it or something. No, man, but I'm glad he said that. I think people were telling me, they're like, damn, you guys were hard on them on Sunday. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's fair. And that we were a little bit, that all just comes from, I think, how pressure filled this season feels already. Now it's just Oregon. Now we got to go, and the expectations are as high as I can remember as a 25-year-old fan who's been a fan my whole life. It's never been, maybe, pre-2017 after the 2016 magical season. I think 2017 there was a lot of hype, and Penn State was up to number 2 at that point that year. But since then, man, in terms of depth, in terms of talent, That's the main reason I think we just are being so uptight about everything because we're crazy and we're fans.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the overall feeling is still like uneasiness, especially about the offense. But just in a mental rewatching of the game, James said before the season he's going to use these games to like do things on purpose,
Mhm.
like basically as preseason. So I said this on Sunday, but we don't know what his objective was. It literally might have been to like look bad on purpose. I mean, it wasn't, but we don't know what his objective was,
We have no
and
idea.
maybe he accomplished everything he wanted to behind the scenes, and things will just start working against Oregon, which is ridiculous to say out loud. But I mean, they haven't found a flow, but they might have not completely shown their hand yet.
No, I don't think that's unfair. I don't think. Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, you're right. Like he wasn't trying to look bad, but maybe they were. They had weird combinations out there on offense. It doesn't really feel like it, but
Well, I mean,
um,
the Nick getting 8 carries thing, like that was abnormal on the
that was
first
weird.
drive.
Yeah. Fair. I think also, I know people have asked about this, but it feels like they are putting. James mentioned this at his press conference, but they are quote unquote like he's putting a ton on Drew's plate. From an RPO standpoint and a run game standpoint, like Drew is responsible for so much. So maybe these three early games they put him into like hyperdrive, and then the Oregon game in terms of what he owned and what he was responsible for, and maybe the Oregon game is going to be like he's taking the donut off the bat. There's a lot like we're gonna get back to what we do best and not practice some of what maybe we need to have in our bag later this season. Who
I
knows?
love that. I
I think
love that cope.
wow, I think I just convinced. Yeah, that was good. I
The
think I just
donut off the bat, dude. Yeah, that's it. Like, it was just exposure therapy. Like they're like making it really hard for him, and then just saying, "Fuck it, go ball against Oregon."
is that it?
That might be it. Yeah. Nice,
Oh,
dude. All right, we're good.
no, but I don't think. I don't think I have anything left unknown. We talked about the defense. The defense is sick. They're gonna have to be awesome against Oregon. We can do a little bit of Oregon discussion maybe this week, and then get more into them next. But, yeah, a lot to watch on that side of the ball, and then on offense, things are kind of weird. But we just in 7 minutes we just decided that maybe they're okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna just I'm gonna think about that before I go to bed every night for the next 10
Yeah,
days or whatever.
just
But
write it down like Bart Simpson. They're making
yeah,
it through. It's fine.
I'm betting him for Heisman still.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, as much as I want to dial back the criticism of the offense, I think I kind of, for the same reasons, want to double down the praising of the defense.
Sure.
I mean, for all the changes that have happened on offense, there have been more on defense, like new coordinator, um, complete new scheme, a lot of new players, like losing your best player, and they've looked freaking lights out. Like I don't know what percentage of installed the defense has been overall, but it looks like 100%. I'm sure it's closer to 50 than 100, but I mean, hats off to Jim Knowles. Like that contract is worth its weight in gold and diamonds and platinum.
Dude, yeah. I mean, you can't say enough about how good they've been. Jim, I wanted to talk about this. Jim spoke to the media this week, and he is just such a stone cold killer. They'll ask him a question like, "Yeah, quick answer." Like he had some line. It was about how he would rate himself so far, and he was just like, "Well, it's all about if I'm putting the guys in the right position. There's a test every single week, and I got to be ready for it." That's like what. And I was
It's hard.
like, that's so hard. Like, yeah, there is, dude, and you better be ready for it. So, I don't think there's anybody in the country we would rather have as DC in the world of college football. Yeah, man, he has got them playing hard. I think we said this last week or our most recent episode, but last year they had a letdown against Bowling Green, which is a far inferior opponent. That has not happened so far. I mean, they are just balls to the wall on every play. And I know they're inferior opponents, whatever. I keep saying that, but I'm super, super excited. I think that's going to be the battle to highlight against Oregon. Those DNs and those D linemen against Oregon's backfield and Dante Moore.
Yeah, and I wonder if he has something for like academic euphemisms with what he said about he got a test every week, because he kept calling guys studious too, which I thought was such a cool compliment. Like, oh yeah, Darius Dixon, like he's an athlete who went to Mater Dei, but he's studious. Like he's a student of the game. That's a fire compliment to give someone. Like, yeah, he's gonna bring a notepad in every meeting.
It's a great word, isn't it? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
man, he's studious. Like, oh, okay, I like that, Jim. He's a studious young man.
He looks like a professor a little bit with the beard.
People say he looks like kind of, I don't know what he is, like older, like chill grandpa, but in reality,
He's
he's
crazy.
war veteran or like wacky old professor. Like, I don't know what. We sort of have to find a comp for him. Maybe there's a superlative somewhere in there for him that we can kind of pull out. Yeah, I love Jim Knowles. I'm so excited. You said it. He had the walkie-talkie, old school in the press box. Yeah, he better have something diabolical for Oregon. And to your point, got to be equally as supportive of him as equally questioning your being of the offense. That's not the right word, but
Yeah. Maybe I kind of like the professor analogy. Maybe he has like a PhD in veterinary medicine, kind of just letting the dogs out. Kind of just letting we're kind of just letting the dogs eat a little bit. It's kind of just he's like raising a bunch of dogs.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
We can workshop that a little bit. Kind of just came to me.
Hey, Nittanyville, maybe put a sign together for us. We'll take credit for that.
Yeah, no problem. We'll just put like a QR code of the podcast on a different sign, and then we're even.
And our Venmos.
Yeah. This shit's getting expensive. Well, dude, someone also asked him about last year when they played Oregon the first time in that game where Will Howard like didn't get the snap off in time. They let up like 500 yards, and then Penn State let up an insane amount of yards in the Big Ten championship game too, which was such an unpredictable shootout. But then in the Rose Bowl, like Knowles he figured it out. Like he locked them down. I mean, that game was kind of over before it started with Ohio State's offense. But I mean, I think they scored 8 points in the first half, Oregon, and it was just over.
I feel like a lot of people talked about Ohio State's offense in that game and Jeremiah Smith. Oregon had sub 300 yards of offense in the Rose Bowl. I think they had 267, I think was the number.
And there was a lot of garbage time.
I mean, that's crazy against an offense.
Maybe he figured it out.
So, let's carry that over. You got to think Lanning is a good coach. We can talk about him more next week, but so he'll come back hard with adjustments as well. I mean, he knows Knowles well at this point too. But still, man, you gotta be happy that guy's on our side.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so hard to. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to talk about this week, so it's just kind of it's hard to look ahead, not to look ahead to the whiteout.
Yeah.
James said the same thing at the presser though. He said like 50% will be focused on 50% will be focused on Penn State, but the other half will be focused on getting ahead on Oregon, which honestly is a higher percentage than I would think he would say. I think he would say like, oh, we got some guys looking at their tape, but he was like, no, like half of this week will be getting ahead on Oregon, which Oregon doesn't have the luxury of. So
again, man, it's a theme this year, but he is being so honest and sort of open about everything. I mean, he really detailed the whole schedule, which I think was cool. Like people like you and I find that interesting. The whole bye week schedule, like starting, I think on Thursday, he starts recruiting, and then Andy and Jim and Lustig run practice, and then they join him on the recruiting trail, and then the players have an off weekend. So there's a lot to juggle, like recruiting, getting the guys time off, also preparing for Oregon because they're the second hardest team on your schedule, so probably do that. But it was interesting how he gave a percentage to it, 50-50, which I thought was cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously the presser this week was mostly dedicated to the whiteout. That's what reporters want to ask about. I thought it was funny. James was like, he seemed annoyed, but not at the team. He seemed annoyed at like clerical bullshit, which is kind of bi-week vibes, I feel like maybe he's dealing with other stuff. Because he was like, yeah, I got recruits' parents asking me about tickets. I got cousins from like 25 years ago asking me for whiteout tickets. Like, I thought it was kind of funny. He just sounded like a guy. He was like, what do you want me to do? This has been sold out for like 6 months.
He probably like just got off the phone with like someone he barely knows asking for tickets, and he was just pissed off.
Yeah, it was somebody from Stroudsburg, like, James, how you been? Like,
yeah, like, oh, I was your offensive tackle junior year. He's like, I don't remember you at all.
Yeah,
but I mean, this is probably like the most expensive Penn State game ever.
dude.
The ticket prices are insane. It's like $500.
We're having our own personal battle there right now, so it freaks me out.
Yeah, we don't have to address that yet. We're trying to go 1-0 in the bye week this week. But yeah, the state of college football ticket prices is egregious, and I don't know why this is happening.
I was gonna say, no wonder everybody's asking James for tickets. Maybe we should get a hold of maybe Chris Peterson or somebody on the team to say, hey, like, we used to cover the team, like, any chance we could get 2 tickets, 50-yard line.
We'll pay face value.
Yeah, face value. Yeah.
We'll start being really nice to them on the pod.
We're super nice. Come on. He should come on.
James?
He'd probably be a good first guest, right?
Yeah. We tried to get the OS and the collegiate football beats on, and we're immediately pivoting to James instead.
Now, yeah, that's true. Inside Baseball, that was one of our plans for the bye week, was to have the current Onward State football reporters and the current collegiate football reporters doing Penn State trivia. We would ask some tough ones. I would ask them the score of like the Lehigh Penn State game from 1899 and who was the MVP. Like,
yeah, it fell through, but maybe we'll revisit that for like the second bye week.
Yeah, I forgot there's 2.
Yeah, I guess they're idle weeks technically, or whatever.
Whatever.
What were we talking about? the price of tickets.
I think just other presser stuff outside of the whiteout. One other thing he was really honest about, he was talking about freshman players that were making the most of their opportunity and getting in and playing. And then he called out, I think he said, he was like, 98% of our guys are great. 2% are just complaining about not getting playing time. And they're acting like they're backups and not preparing to play. And then when they do get a shot, they're not ready. And I'm getting texts from parents asking for more playing time. It was a very, like, he said all that. You can watch it. And it wasn't in like a super pissed off way, but I was like, geez, like, there's guys there's parents currently on the roster that he just called out to the media. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And he's very careful about who he calls out to the media. Like, he won't address something publicly unless it's been addressed privately first. So he must be like, I mean, with how big scholarships limits are now, like, you can have 105 people on scholarship. He's probably like, just fucking transfer at this point. Like, if you're there on the depth chart and you don't want to do it our way and like prepare like you're a starter and wait, like, go to Illinois and like start and not get drafted. So, I mean, good for him, honestly, for calling that out, because it's kind of BS on the parents' part. I mean, we don't know the full story of whatever happened, but like, there probably was a few guys where that, yeah, it was just too much.
No, I think you're right, because I had 2, I'm looking at our doc, I had 2 things written down outside of whiteout stuff that I wanted to discuss, and it was, both of them were related to him getting his phone blown up. The parents asking for more playing time, and then old friends and parents asking for tickets, and recruits asking for tickets to the whiteout. So maybe you're right, he just got off, and his phone was like, he was like, Jesus, like,
well, dude,
right.
maybe he just, like, iOS 26 came out, maybe he just updated it, and like his phone's lagging, and it's like getting blown up, and he's just like really pissed. You know, like when you first update your phone and it like it takes a minute to like get its bearings. Like, maybe that happened, and then you're just getting blown up from recruits and parents and stuff. He's like, fuck this, I gotta go talk to the media now.
I don't think that's super unrealistic. I think something like that happened. He seemed really annoyed, and not about, it wasn't an annoyed like, oh, we just had a shitty practice. He was just like, and he wasn't even annoyed at the media. Somebody just bothered him. Maybe he had a bad day.
Anything else from his presser that was notable?
No, but I do, unless you have anything else, I do have a couple people that have had bad days.
Yeah.
So we talked about it on Sunday. I think the news was live by the time our podcast came out. But our boy Brent officially out of Virginia Tech, and our guy, not really our guy, but Deshaun Foster officially out at UCLA. I feel bad for both of them. I mean, really tough situations at both schools. I feel more for Brent as a personal connection to Penn State. He was one of James's guys from Vandy. Always been a fan of his. And Deshaun Foster gave us a really memorable Big Ten Media Day moment last year when he had a horrible presser. So
yeah,
I like him too. I feel bad for both. It's interesting to have 2 high-profile Power 5 firings this early in the season, I think.
Yeah. Foster kind of just feels like a victim of his own circumstances. Like, I feel really bad for him, honestly. Like, he got way too much shit for what clearly was just like a panic attack or something at that presser. Like, he seems like a really good guy and probably a good coach. But, I mean, maybe James should just send all these people who are complaining about not getting snaps to the UCLA game. Just be like, just we'll just have them play instead.
Facts, honestly. But want
Like,
to know?
go see Los Angeles. Yeah.
And I'll walk that back. I called it a horrible press conference. It was not good. I think he was rattled. I was listening to the
No, it was
cover.
terrible.
I was listening to the Cover 3 podcast, and we can get to Pry in a sec, but just on Foster, he was. I think he was a running back coach, and then he just became the head coach. So UCLA was clearly not willing to go and get somebody. They just made a lazy, frankly, in-house hire of a guy who was a fine coach, but just wasn't ready to be a head coach. So I think he'll land on his feet. It'd be cool if he stays in the Big Ten. He actually seems like a cool guy. Yeah, and the Nico Iamaleava situation. I mean, it was a mess. It was a total mess at UCLA.
Yeah, agree.
I don't think he deserves a ton of the blame there. He gets a percentage of it, but geez, man, what did you expect, Bruins?
Yeah, I mean, they play in the stadium that's like 20 miles from their campus. Like, it's just not a place where you're set up for success football wise. So yeah, I agree. I think he'll land on his feet somewhere. But yeah, dude, the prize stuff, like, I hate to say we called it, but we called it. I mean, it wasn't like a big thing to call. Like, it was pretty obvious he was getting fired.
Dude.
Yeah, I feel really bad for him. Like, I just do. I mean, it's just it didn't work out. And I mean, he was hired at a kind of a weird time coming out of COVID and all these changes happening, and just didn't really figure it out. And took a big risk leaving Penn State, and credit to him for doing that, because I mean, it's obviously was a hard lifestyle and career move to make, which a lot of people are scared to do. So good for him, but sucks.
Yeah, totally. I'm interested by it because I think Virginia Tech is one of the best examples of these Power 5 or Power 4 now schools that are fairly established and have some history, but they're just in the lowest tier probably of the Power 4 in terms of NIL resources, what they're willing to spend on the recruiting trail, all of that. Really NIL mainly, pay their coaches, resources from the school. It's something James complained about a lot at Penn State. I think his complaining and Pat Kraft's willingness to raise money, and frankly the administration before as well. Shout out. I think James gave them a hard time. There are schools, Virginia Tech is one of them, that just are kind of getting, like, it's becoming more and more obvious that they can't compete as well in this new era. So I don't think Pry was really given he just wasn't given as many tools as a lot of these coaches right now at a lot of other programs, obviously. So he gets a lot of blame. You can't get smacked by Old Dominion, and it was a really shitty effort too. To be honest, I was watching part of it. They just looked bad. But it's a example or an exhibit of this new era of college football, where a program like Virginia Tech that has some good history, Mike Vick, Tyrod Taylor, like some good quarterbacks. But kind of since then, I've just not been able to keep up, I guess, which sucks. And I hope they do, and I hope other schools like it do. You think of a lot of other programs like I don't know, TCU or other programs like that are struggling maybe more than others to keep up, but who knows?
Yeah, and I mean, he was hired at probably one of the worst times to become a college football head coach.
Yeah.
For being a first-time coach. Like, he probably didn't have that, like, politicking skill set down yet, where you need to go to bat to the AD and, like, beg for money, which, credit to James, he has. Yeah, and it's Virginia Tech almost feels like I mean, their fans act like they're a blue blood. Like, they're the names that they're looking at to replace Pry are crazy. Like, they think they can get anybody, which I don't know. But I mean, I would say Virginia Tech's like blue blood adjacent, maybe. Like, they have a lot of history, and historically have been okay, and are kind of like a brand. Like, they have the Enter Sandman thing, but like I don't know if they're not taking Saban out of retirement.
No, and I'm laughing because they're not quite talking about taking Saban out of retirement, but I'm seeing DeBoer flying around. Have you seen that?
No, that's maybe crazier.
I think I saw somebody was like, oh, maybe Caleb, like, he's 2-1 at Bama. I don't know.
Yeah, he like might win the national championship this year.
So yeah, I mean, no, it sucks. I'm laughing, but yeah, you got to be willing to shell out money for these guys. Shout out Jimmy Sexton, creative arts agency. James,
my God,
James' agent, and like a million other college football coaches' agents. That guy is no nonsense.
Well, also Tech is competing with with Penn State in the recruiting pool, and if James is, you know, getting all this money, like, it sucks for Pry. Like, there's nothing left there.
I mean, dude, they're jammed up. Like, you got to think, what, they're competing with Penn State, DMV. They go south at all. That's like Clemson territory. And
Army,
even, gosh, even South Carolina. Yeah, I guess Army. But seriously, that's
yeah.
so. No, Virginia Tech's a cool program. The Enter Sandman thing is sick. I would have liked to go there in 2020 when that game was scheduled pre-COVID. But yeah, man, just sucks to see it for Pry. I do think it's not crazy. 2 or 3 years, our boy Jim goes on to bigger and better things, maybe. I don't know what that would be compared to Penn State. Come on back, Brent. I love Brent Pry. He was the man, dude. He was the man.
Not crazy at all. And I mean, I don't know if this is all speculation, obviously, but I don't know if after this he's dying to hop back into another head coaching gig. Like, he might just be happier being a DC somewhere or being a linebackers coach somewhere or something. But I mean, I wasn't following him at VT that closely, so I don't really know what went wrong exactly. Like, to me, it just feels kind of like a victim of circumstance thing, but I don't know. He'll get another shot somewhere for sure. So would love to see him succeed is all you can say. Like, a great guy, was very loyal to James for so long, and to the point where when he left, it was like everyone was happy for him because he had been loyal for so long. So
yeah, 100%. And I think he did it the right way. They did a handoff with Manny Diaz pretty quick.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's all I got. But love you, Brent, and good luck, Deshaun.
Do we want to look ahead to Oregon a little bit? I mean, we can kind of do like a quick.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, Dante Moore, like, guy might win the Heisman. I don't know.
He looks awesome. I'll admit, I haven't watched every second of their games this year. They crushed Northwestern. They have Oregon State this weekend. They've kind of taken care of everybody on their schedule up to this point. So I'll preface that. But Dante Moore's stats are just scary. His completion percentage is almost 80%. He's got 7 touchdowns. I don't know. I mean, he looks great. So that's all you can say. The guy, he's lived up to the expectations thus far. He hasn't played a defense like Penn State. You got to think that's going to play a role, at least in the beginning, especially the crowd noise. Like, I think it's naive to say he's just ready to roll and it's not going to bother him and he's going to use it to his advantage. Maybe eventually he does as the game goes on, but first quarter, I'll be ready for that King Mac interception. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Eyes on the prize. Were you surprised they fell in the poll to 6? I mean, they were jumped by.
Yeah, this is weird.
Yeah, Miami and Georgia jumped them. Miami plays Florida this week, so I mean, maybe Oregon will climb back up. But I mean, who cares at this point? It was just more of an optics thing for it being 3 versus 4. But
I mean, the AP poll has several writers in the AP poll or voters in the AP poll have proven to be not great. I mean, that's been like super viral this year. A couple voters have talked about like their process or lack thereof, and there's been some ridiculous leave-offs. So it's sort of like kind of loses its credibility, and it's crazy to think that used to decide national championships. I like shudder to think about that. Not that there's some awesome writers on the AP poll. It's just sometimes it's like, what, you clearly haven't watched college football this weekend, or you've only watched your team.
People are out for blood, which I mean, maybe is justified. Like, people are going like line by line on the AP poll and tweeting at reporters and being like, "Why did you do this?"
Yeah, I mean, that's not something to get like mad about. I just think it's a reminder. Like, look, it's the college football playoff poll is what matters here. We figured out a system, at least kind of, that we can rely on a little bit more. But anyway, it's a little weird they dropped to 6. I think Dante Moore is awesome. I do something that dropped today, Wednesday. Oregon is staying in Altoona at like some convention center for the whiteout, which it would be a real shame if somebody went over and pulled the fire alarm in the like, that would suck.
That would suck. That would really suck. You just want them to like be on a fair playing field.
Yes. Oh my God.
It's so weird they announced exactly which hotel they're at. Because like normally people do find out and then just like pull the fire alarm anyway. But they just like got ahead of it. They're like, here, just.
I mean, was it leaked? Did Oregon announce it or was it leaked?
Someone who we're not giving credit reported it. I don't know.
I think I'll give credit if you're cool. It was. I saw Neil Rudell tweet it.
Yeah, let's give Neil Rudell credit. Altoona Mirror. So yeah, probably.
Yeah, I know it's his beat. So like but I did. It was. I saw the tweet I sent around was Neil just like the headline was like Oregon is staying at the like something county convention center.
Yeah, like they're checking it at this time. Like these are the room numbers.
Like I don't even want to say it. It feels kind of like irresponsible. So we won't, but they're staying in Altoona.
Yeah, I mean, in my head, Altoona is just like a lawless like land south of State College where people are just gonna be all night like outside with a jukebox playing Zombie Nation, so the Oregon players don't get sleep. But
I mean, that's fine.
yeah, I mean that's illegal, right?
I don't.
I mean,
think
maybe
so.
not.
Public disturbance, but
Yeah,
grease
but
the
like I don't know. The
palms
cops are
over
like
at,
Penn State fans, probably.
yeah, grease the palms over at Altoona PD.
Yeah.
Just kind of let that go a little bit into the night there. No, yeah, I mean that's funny. I think that's a tough thing for them, and also it's the whiteout. So I think it's going to be a pick'em at kickoff. Honestly, I think Oregon's going to dominate Oregon State this weekend, but like I don't think that's going to change that much. Oregon State's 0-3, so like yeah. And then who knows, man? I Dante Moore freaks me out. There's a couple guys on defense that I have noted down that are good. Mateo Uwanga. Oh my god,
Mateo you.
DJ's brother, DJU's brother, Ungalele.
Uh-huh.
I could not get that out. Uwanga Mateo Uwanga Bryce Betcher, who's good. That was a linebacker from last year who played well in the Big Ten championship. So anyway, that like Oregon's good.
Yeah. I think the line's at 3, but like it would be a pick'em if they weren't staying in Altoona. Like that's probably worth 3 points.
I think honestly, the whiteout's worth.
Yeah, no, it is. I think Urban Meyer's like said that.
It's nuts. Like it is so loud for a first year starter in Dante Moore. He's gonna like have a nightmare about it. Dan Lanning has never coached in it. Who got some thoughts on Dan Lanning in a sec. We can do that now, but what?
Yes, let's go. No, let's go.
Okay. So I have not disliked Dan Lanning up to this point. He's 38-6 career as an Oregon head coach. That's pretty damn good. He wins a lot. He's a good coach. I do think all of a sudden though, his aura or like vibe around the country is that he is like a top tier head coach and he's the man, which maybe he is. But what like, and he's had fewer opportunities. I get that. And this maybe isn't a fully baked thought, but why? And this is just my perception of how people feel about him. I think a lot of people feel like he is a world's better coach than James Franklin. I think that's like a thing people feel. I think people think he is awesome. And he hasn't been a coach for as long. And he's 38-6, but I think he's built something good here at Oregon, but I don't know. There's something about him, and maybe it's not him, maybe it's the perception around him, but I need to see more to be like he's a top tier football coach. And I know he's 38-6, but they got smacked in the playoff last year. And other than that, they haven't done a ton, to be honest with you. So that's my take.
I think it's more that he hasn't had enough time to earn the negative like vibe that James has for, not winning big games. Because if you've only been a head coach for 1 or 2 years, that's not big enough sample size for people to be like, oh, big game Dan or whatever. But when James has been doing it for 10 years, big game James is going to creep in. So I think it's going to be like in 5 years, it's going to be Dan Lanning can't win the big one.
No, I think that makes sense. And this isn't really an anti-Dan Lanning thing. It's just something I've noticed. He's become like vaunted as a recruiter and a coach. He's clearly a really good coach.
I think it's just like vibes and circumstance. Like
he took Oregon was in a better spot when he took over for Oregon than when James took over Penn State as well. So
you think
there's a lot of factors. But yeah, I think James gets a lot of hate. And then whenever there's like a new up and coming coach that everybody loves, I'm like, hey, pump the brakes. Like at least James didn't have a Dabo Sweeney moment this week.
God,
like, oh my God, he was like, y'all tired of winning? Kick me out.
I mean,
like, it was crazy.
He might get. I don't know. That was crazy. I mean, for all the shit James gets for talking about, like he even said it this week, like, oh, so many programs would die to be in our position and so many teams lose to all these bad teams. It's like, after seeing that Dabo stuff, it's like, yeah, I mean, I think I'm actually pretty happy with James Franklin. And I think a win over Dan Lanning would go a pretty long way for him.
I didn't want to say it because it freaks me out, but this is a big game. So, yes, A win over Dan Lanning would go a long way. I know it's week 4, but in terms of calming the narrative around this being a disappointing year based on expectations and all that, and Ohio State is really even the bigger one. But no, this is a very big deal.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to start to correct that top 10 record stuff. And like, this is a good place to start.
No, that's a pretty bad stat. I'm not defending that. I was just, my take was relax on Lanning. But also, I look like an idiot if Oregon beats us badly this weekend. So, or next weekend.
We have to give him credit, I guess, if they do, which would suck.
Yeah, you got to
No.
But we're not talking about that right now.
We can make an excuse up.
They're still figuring it out. It's fine.
Yeah, it's gonna turn into no. We can't. No. I'm not going there yet. I'm not. We're focused on the bye week.
Do you have anything else on Oregon in terms of, we can do this more next week? But do you have any other like preview thoughts or like things that stick out to you about them?
No, this week has been 50% focusing on me and only 50% focusing on Oregon. So I don't have the advanced scout yet. Just like preliminary things.
Yeah, I've taken a similar approach. I've been like 60-40 me, watching tape, getting mentally prepared for the game, thinking about what beer I'm going to drink, and then 40 like Dante Moore highlights, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah. Like someone on Twitter like posts a stat about Dante Moore, and it's like, that doesn't look good.
Yeah. File that away.
All right. Do we want to move into our final little segment we've conjured up for the bye week here?
Let's do it, dude.
All right. Will and I decided we each were just going to pick the 5 most memorable games that we covered for Penn State. Will covered the team from 2019 to 2021. I covered the team from 2020 to 2022 with a little bit of 23 and 24 sprinkled in there. So I did the math, dude. Napkin math. I think I've covered like more than 30 games in person. So
Definitely.
This was a pretty big sample size, and it was honestly nearly impossible to select the top 5 because there is a lot of good ones for good and bad reasons.
Exactly. And I had fun doing it. I think we're at probably similar figures based on the number of seasons we covered and one of them being COVID. Yeah, I think I'm at like 30 to 40, somewhere around there, which is crazy. And yeah, man, it was fun doing this.
Give us credit.
Yeah.
We've covered combined more than 50 games in person.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, it was fun doing most memorable because some of them are memorable for bad reasons, memorable for a million reasons, good or bad. Do you want to do like, we'll start at 5, 5th most memorable, and then go through down to 1, and we'll trade off?
Well, I don't have it in order.
Oh shit, that's fine.
5 in no. I mean, I could do it quick.
No. Do it in no particular order.
Okay. I'll say my first one, which I guess technically would be, I'm just gonna say the Rose Bowl. Covering the Rose Bowl in person was one of probably I mean, it's hard to not pick a bowl game because the way they treat the media the whole week and all the pomp and circumstance is really great. Like me, Sam Freeman, and Gabe got there pretty early, and then Frankie joined us along with the 2 photographers, Alyssa and Annie. So we were there for a while in Los Angeles, just hanging out. Like they did such a good job taking care of us. And it got a police escort to the game, and then didn't get the flyover, which sucked. But I mean, I don't know. It was a very cathartic win, I think, for everyone. I know you were there in the stands. And the Rose Bowl is just such an iconic venue. It was such a good way to send Sean Clifford off. It was my last game ever covering the team for Onward State. Pretty emotional.
Yeah,
that's probably my number 1, actually, I guess, now that I'm saying it out loud. But
yeah. I mean, it's the Rose Bowl. That's insane.
Yeah, it's the Rose Bowl.
I was there, wasn't covering it, but the weather wasn't that good that day, which was annoying. But otherwise, that was sick. Yeah, I mean, seeing Sean come off the field his last drive, so many like memorable moments. Yeah, that's a great one for sure.
Yeah, he did like the handoff to Drew. Like
yeah. It's kind of beautiful.
Passing of the torch. Like James called a timeout so that they could do it. It was pouring rain, and then the confetti just came down. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Yeah, it's the Rose Bowl. You got to pick that.
Yeah.
I will go. Mine is not the Rose Bowl. Mine's a little bit more random. Let me pull it up. I have got Penn State's 2021 season opening win over Wisconsin on the road, 16-10. That was so much fun to be there for. Insane game. Brisker has the pick at the end. They both ended up being not great teams, like kind of crappy, good defense, Big Ten teams. But it was so fun to be there week one. Insane covering it live. Penn State barely won, and it set the tone for what was a pretty up and down season. But early on, at least, we were like, "Wow, this team is awesome." We pulled out a win in Camp Randall. That night, I paid to have Zombie Nation play on Touch Tunes, like an asshole, which is great. It was very fun at the bar we were at. Madison was a great town. I've got that coming in at my first or my number 5 spot, but also not really in any particular order.
Yeah, I had that on my list too, so that I can slot that in at my number 5.
There you go.
That game was 0-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
And it also was like one of the first college football games back from COVID.
Yep.
So it was like that the jump around they did was like super hyped up. Like I think that's if you search jump around on YouTube, like that one comes up because it was the first one back from COVID. Yeah. Me, you, and Gabe in that press box, it was a very because I had covered the team virtually the year before. That was my first like real game. So that was a very memorable is like the word for that. Like inconsequential game in the grand scheme of things, but like it was a huge game in the moment. Kind of gave me similar vibes to Purdue 2022, which I didn't pick. Like a really close game at the end on the road, and it's like no matter how ugly Penn State won, it's like yeah, this was a good win.
It was also the Arnold Ebiketie game. Shout out Arnold. He only played at Penn State for one season. That guy was sick. I think he's on the Falcons right now. That guy was the man. Great defensive end.
Yeah, 100%. So I can I guess since we both had the same one, I can just do the next one. This is probably my favorite college football game ever, which is ridiculous to say, and it's not actually true. But this is the most people probably not even remember this game happened, but it's the Penn State Illinois game from 2020, the COVID season. This is I actually wrote for the Hidden Gems series on Black Shoe Diaries last year, like a full kind of rewind to this game, and it was like I was weirdly very poetic about it. It was such a weird game. It was at the time the SMU game ended up surplanting it, but this was the latest time a game had ever been played in Beaver Stadium. It was December 19th. It had snowed before the game, and since there were no fans, they didn't shovel the snow in the stadium. So no parents came out because it was so late in the year. It was so freezing. The press box there was only one Illinois reporter that came. The field temp was below freezing. The press box was 46 degrees. It was a mess. Like nobody was there. I drove up into the snowstorm from Philly, like one way to go to the game and then drove back after. And it was just, it was ridiculous, but it was, I don't know, for me, it was so memorable. They sang the alma mater afterwards to the all the cardboard cutouts and the fans for the last time because the next game in Beaver Stadium was filled with fans again, finally. During commercial breaks, they like played a Yule log on the Jumbotron. I have a picture of it in the story if you look it up, but it was just the stands covered in snow with the Yule log on the Jumbotron. So just like a crazy vibe. And the game itself was 21-21 in the first quarter. Like the teams just kept scoring. And then the game ended and Penn State said, yeah, we're opting out of the bowl game. Our season's done. And that was it on the ridiculous 2020 season. I could talk forever about that game. I'm going to end it there, but it was just, I don't know. It was very memorable for me.
Talk about cathartic, dude. Wasn't that the Lamont Wade game? Didn't he? Yeah.
It's like, why hasn't this guy been returning kicks the whole time?
I know. And yeah, watching it on TV, even because you volunteered to go because you were the closest, and I was like, honestly, we don't necessarily need someone there, but like, go for it if you want. And you're like, yeah, sure. And I was glad we did because it was like, God, the SMU game was later in the year, to your point, but like an empty Beaver Stadium 6 days before Christmas, that's like almost so cool, a little weird, but more so cool, and just like cool to be there. I remember that really well, watching that on TV, the snow on the ground. Kind of like a cozy vibe, even though I guess it was 46 degrees in the press box, I guess.
That was cozy.
Yeah, it was a little cozy. No, but that's an all-time one, for sure, like without a doubt. And then also, I think it was almost like when Penn State wasn't playing a bowl game, or when they announced that, I think everyone was kind of thinking, cool. Like,
yeah, and
that
game also wasn't on the schedule before the week before because they ended up. Remember, they did the thing where instead of the Big Ten championship, it was like you would play your equal power in the East and the West.
Yep.
And it was like neither team like had to play that game. Like no, they weren't playing in a bowl game, and both were just like, fuck it, like let's just ball, let's just play football. And the first quarter was like backyard football, so I think they just both were having fun, like playing in the snow, just like they were kids instead of, a huge meaningful college football game. So it was a very cool and unique game.
That's a good one. Yeah, 100%. I am going to follow that up with another COVID game. Penn State loses to Ohio State 38-25 at the COVID whiteout. Insanely memorable. It was the first game at home of the COVID season, right after Penn State lost on the road to Indiana. Little did we know that was the start of a historically bad 0-5 start for that team. But yeah, it was mostly sad, honestly. It was like, this is supposed to be the whiteout, and this is just an empty crowd, and Penn State is trying to like avoid an 0-2 start after losing to what turned out to be a good Indiana team, and now trying to beat Ohio State that would go on to play for the national championship that year. So it was bizarre. Cardboard cutouts in the crowd. I think they were still it was the first empty Beaver Stadium game, and it was just what was supposed to be the whiteout. So I think they were still trying to figure out how to do it. I was one of like 100 non-football players in the stadium for that game, which is crazy, and I'll never forget that. Penn State lost, but Jahan Dotson made a sweet catch. There were some fun moments. And yeah, man, I'll never forget that one. That was an insane game to cover, being in the press box just like by myself, the one Honor State rep, while you and Gabe covered from Gill Street. That's a crazy one to look back on.
Yeah. That was like Jahan Dotson's official like coming out party that game. I mean, he played amazing, and kind of ended Sean Wade's career just like on those 2 catches.
Literally.
Yeah, I don't have that on my list because I obviously didn't cover it in person, but I remember me and Gabe in the basement of Gill Street joining James's presser on Zoom after, and just looking around at all the reporters with the masks on, like in the press box, was just like a crazy sight. Me and Gabe were just like laughing so hard, like it was just so stupid. And credit to you for holding it together, but it was it was ridiculous.
It's all a fever dream looking back on it that year, and that was the first year we all covered the team together. I mean, we covered the Indiana game. We watched it in the hub, like in the main area, because we didn't have, I don't know why we did that, but there weren't a lot of good spots to watch. And then, so we watched it on the main hub TV, and then we listened to the press conferences in like some empty room in the hub for a couple games, and they just kept losing. So that was that was a really tough year, man. That we were molded by that, I think, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, as bad as the year it was like being able to say that happened and we covered the team that year. I think is going to be cool to look back on once we have grandkids and stuff. They're going to ask about the like what COVID was like. So for as tough as it was in the moment,
100%.
My next game we don't have to talk too much about. I'm pretty sure you have this on your list too, but it's the Illinois 2021 game, the 9 overtime game.
Yeah.
Just the most out of left field, ridiculous game of all time. Coming off that Iowa loss, you thought Penn State would stabilize, and just ended up being probably one of the more iconic college football games in recent history. It has its own Wikipedia page at this point. It's the longest college football game in history. A ridiculously bad loss, but it kind of at the end of the game just felt like you just wanted it to be over rather than Penn State to win anymore. So
it's an all-timer, dude. I know I look back on that one really weirdly because I remember it being one of the more fun mornings I had covering the team. It was off the Iowa loss, which really sucked, but Sean Clifford was back starting. I think Penn State was 5-1 at that point, still ranked. I think we still felt like everything was possible for that team because Sean got hurt against Iowa, and we totally felt like Penn State was just robbed of that game, which I still do feel that way. So my thought was like, cool, get back on track against Illinois. Obviously, we all know what happened. The offense never got right. I think Sean had I believe it was either a rib or a shoulder injury. We didn't know exactly.
He announced recently on LinkedIn that it was a rib injury, and he had to wear. He invested in some company that makes a rib guard, and he announced that he had to wear that during the 2021 season, like the rest of the year, which was never before announced or discovered. But yeah, sorry.
No. He looked horrible in that game, and not to his own fault. I think he had a broken rib or something. And after the Taquan Roberson performance and what they had in Christian Veilleux, I think they felt like, a 50% Sean Clifford was better than what they had in the backups, unfortunately. So anyway, I just remember having a coffee in the press box that morning. It was a little rainy. I was like, this is a really cool vibe. It was kind of laid back and chill after a crazy Iowa week. And then it got not chill really fast. So totally, it's on my list too. One of the most memorable games I've covered, without a doubt. Insane.
Yeah, I remember my friends Chris and Pat were visiting for that game, and like we just kind of got out of the car and we're like, we have to go to the press box. Do you guys just want to like drink like 3 warm beers out of my trunk? And they were like, not really. And we're like, all right, we're just gonna like go into the game then. But it was like we were having coffee, like it
Yeah,
was
it was really fun.
cozy.
Yeah.
It was cool. But yeah, it just went sideways fast.
And it was also that they did Generations of Greatness. It was homecoming, so the end zones were painted differently, which looked really cool. And it looks great on the highlights of 9 overtimes. But geez, man, that was also probably the beginning of the end for Mike Yursich, who lasted kind of a full year after that as OC, but not a good offensive performance that day.
Yeah, agreed. What's next on your list?
Yeah, so I had that on my list too. This one actually was before you joined the beat. It was the 2019 whiteout. Penn State beats Michigan 28-21. This is a basic one because of the Mo Bamba thing when Shea Patterson had to call a timeout. First play out of the game off the kickoff because the stadium was so loud. That was nuts. The press box like literally shook and it swayed when that happened. The stadium was so loud. It was so cool. Getting to see it from that angle, obviously it was super cool. I'm sure being in it too, but having that like overhead view and watching that happen was insane. And then after that, Penn State jumped out to a 14-0 lead. KJ Hamler played his ass off. And I think that made Penn State either 7-0 and 8-0 on the season with Ohio State left. And it was like, whoa, we might have a playoff team here. Sean Clifford looked great his first year as a starter. I covered that one with Mikey Mandarino, shout out, former Onward State guy. But again, that memorable for a lot of reasons. It was a win, the Mo Bamba thing. But yeah, all-timer for me.
Yeah, I hold that game and that year very dearly in my heart because I feel like if COVID didn't happen, it felt like that 2019 was kind of the baseline. Like in 2020 and 2021, it was kind of about getting back to 2019, which is interesting looking back at it. But I mean, that was a good team. It really was. Journey Brown kind of came out of his shell in the Cotton Bowl there. So yeah.
That team also, just a quick shout out, they lost to Minnesota on the road in a really tough game. Lost to Ohio State on the road where Sean got hurt and Will Levis came in and just ran the ball. So those were their only 2 losses. They crushed Memphis in the Cotton Bowl. For sure, one of James's best teams. It's definitely in the top 5 of his time coaching at Penn State. Really, I mean, Micah Parsons, Pat Fryermuth, a couple really strong offensive linemen that I'm forgetting. I think Will Fries was on that team, who's now in the NFL. Anyway, really like a stacked team, and that was a fun year. And that whiteout was like the pinnacle of it.
Yeah, that's a great shout. A big what if what that team could have done in 2020, I think. See, now the last game I have on my list, because I think we've had a few same ones. I mean, it was kind of hard to select a 5th game. I had honestly like 5 that I could have said here instead, but I ended up going with the 2022 Auburn game.
Yeah.
At Auburn. This was a game that you had already graduated for, but just the road driving to Auburn from State College is crazy. The circumstances leading up to the game, it's like internally at Onward State, were just really crazy. Like both of our photographers had to drop out right before, so I ended up shooting the game from the field. It was the first football game I'd ever shot. Me and Mikey DeAngelis did it, and me, Mikey, Sam, Gabe, and Frankie just had really an amazing time. We stayed in a terrible hotel, and I don't even think it was in Georgia. I think it was in Alabama, technically. Only time I've been to an SEC game, and just the pregame environment was really sick. Like, you got to give them credit. When that eagle landed on the field, I thought Penn State was going to lose by 50 points. And then it ended up just being a bloodbath in Penn State's favor. And it felt like Penn State fans were taking over Jordan Hare by the end of the game. I don't think a lot of those games are left anymore, like a true Big Ten SEC on-campus, out-of-conference game. So it was just cool to see Penn State get that win, and then had a great time afterwards going out in Auburn. So I know you weren't there, but just for me, that was super memorable just because of the road trip, and we stopped at National Park on the way back. So all around a great trip, really great game. Nick Singleton's, I think, like coming out moment as well. Yeah.
We crushed them, dude. That was awesome. Great shout. Yeah, I watched that one on TV. I wasn't there, but that was sweet. It totally was Singleton's coming out party, and also I think the beginning of a year where we were like, "Hey, we crushed Auburn. We can do anything." That Auburn team did not end up being that great either. Shout out Robbie Ashford and TJ Finley. Um, but still, who cares? We crushed Auburn on the road, a loud environment. That was fun. I can only imagine. I mean, you were on the field. That's sick.
Yeah. It was hard to not pick some of the other games we covered together, which like I think I had more fun at, but just this was memorable just because of the
No,
unique circumstances.
yeah. Well, we overlapped on a couple. I have my last one here that hasn't already been picked. I also had Illinois on my list, so I'll skip that. We talked about it a little bit. Most memorable game I covered, honestly, as a student, Penn State losing to Iowa on the road. It was such an all-time game. It really sucked in the end. Penn State came out blazing. The defense held Iowa to 3 after like a pick in their own zone. Actually, that might have been the Wisconsin game. But either way, defense played their minds off. Sean Clifford balled out. Penn State was up. And then right before halftime, Sean gets hurt. And it really changes the whole tenor of the game. We don't know what's going to happen. Ryan had his binoculars with him, and he sniped Sean walking out of the tunnel early in the third quarter with like a sling or like a big piece of tape and an ice pack on his side. He wasn't going back in. And that was kind of the beginning of the end for that game, for that season. Penn State was 5-0, I think number 3 or number 4 in the country. I think Iowa was number 4. So it was a 3-4 battle, which is insane to think about, knowing what ended up happening that year to both teams. And Taquan Roberson, I think, had 8 false starts in an insane Kinnick Stadium environment. Changed how I feel about Iowa fans negatively because of some of what happened. I'll say that. But insane environment. Credit to them for being insanely loud fans and being right on top of the players. Obviously not a positive outcome. We drove all the way to Iowa and lost. It did suck, to be quite honest with you, in the end. But I would change it in terms of winning, but I wouldn't change it otherwise. It was so much fun. Crazy road trip. Insane game a Big Ten environment that I'll never forget being at, for sure.
Hearing you talk about that makes me realize I probably should have replaced one of like the BS games I had on here, like 2020 Illinois. Yeah, not putting that on as number 5 was very hard for me. Being on the field when the Iowa fans stormed the field was just like surreal. It was obviously hurt as a fan, objective journalist / fan. But it was kind of cool. Just like, I don't know, that atmosphere was insane. Like when I remember walking down to the bowl and I couldn't find the field entrance, and everyone was going bananas because Taquan couldn't get a snap off. And I decided to literally just hop over like onto the field as if I was storming the field with like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and like no one saw it, so I just got on. I had a credential, obviously. I wasn't trespassing or anything, but God, that was crazy. And we had a good time in Iowa.
We did,
regardless.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's amazing when you think about the credential stuff too, because like you just have this piece of plastic and you just got on the field and it like didn't really matter. And even if you did have one, it'd probably be pretty easy. Not to spark that, but like it's college football is crazy. These stadiums are nuts, and it's amazing when you think about it. It's just a college amateur football game, and you're just watching it, and a lot of people care about it. What I was referencing was like 7 Penn State players got hurt, including PJ Mustafa, I think, had a season-ending injury, and the fans like booed and thought Penn State was stalling, which later that week, James had a really memorable defense of his players at his press conference, and we wrote about it. And so that whole time, and then the next week was the Illinois game. So that 2-week span was actually honestly crazy. And one of the like most up and down times I had covered the team, probably besides COVID the year prior. But it was sort of a roller coaster 2 weeks that kind of crumbled Penn State's 2021 playoff hopes and season. But 2 really memorable moments. Going Kinnick Stadium, highly recommend it. If I were in the crowd as an opposing fan, I would be worried. They're crazy fans. I'm not kidding. They're crazy.
Yeah, all they have is Iowa football, and like they really care.
Like they are nuts. So don't. The hospital wave is very cool, and I respect them that they do that.
It's crocodile tears a little bit. They're crazy.
Bro, yeah, they are crazy.
I might need to issue a retraction and put that game on over the 2020 Illinois. That was like that has to be top 5.
It's not. That was dude.
Being locked in the bowels of the stadium afterwards for the press conference because the field got stormed was crazy. Because it was like technically outside.
Yeah.
Like because it was COVID, you had like James had to do his presser outside. So there's a whole bunch of BS. And then Sneaky was just 4 versus 3, and if Sean doesn't get hurt, and they win that game, that's like a top 5 win for James on the road. And then who knows how the rest of the season goes. So God, that was fun. I mean, it sucked, but like looking back, it was a lot of fun.
It's an all-timer. I mean, we just interviewed Taquan Roberson on the field, and he was like crying.
Shout out to him for coming out.
Yeah, shout out to him. I mean, what do you want?
Yeah.
He was so young. But yeah, and then I mean, we had to go. They had to open the gate to let other reporters in. Gabe Angieri and I, our fellow beat reporter, got locked out because we like got stuck up. You went down to the field early. We got stuck up in the press box, so it's kind of a mess. But insane game, and one that I'm glad I was at for sure.
Yep. I think that's our both of our top 5s.
I think that's it.
Quick honorable mentions. I had the Outback Bowl on there. I couldn't put it on just because the game was so bad, but like we had a really good trip. Last year's Big Ten championship I put on just because I drove to Indianapolis alone for some reason and just had a very like formative trip there solo. And then I put the 2023 Michigan game on there too, just because that was the Harbaugh suspension thing happened right before.
Yeah.
And the game, obviously, I don't even really remember what happened, but the circumstances of the game were kind of crazy. So
insane. Yeah. I think those are all good. I'm trying to think if I have any honor. Outback Bowl would definitely be on there. 21 whiteout Auburn was really cool. That was a great win.
First whiteout back. And Ohio State 2021 when we were in Columbus and interviewed Drew.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
And that has to count. That's got to be on there.
Yeah. And then I also really enjoyed the 2021 Maryland game. The season was kind of over at that point, but and we went to the Maryland game on the road, and Jahan Dotson, I think, like solidified himself as a top NFL draft receiver. He played so well in that game, and that was a cool one to watch. So,
yeah, I mean, we got to stop ourselves because we could talk about this literally all day. So,
yeah.
But yeah, great shouts. Maybe we should have a pod where we just talk about games for like an hour.
Potentially, yeah.
I mean, we should just like have 3 beers and just like do it and record it on voice memos and post it. Cool. That's the bye week, I think, right?
That's the bye week, man. 50% Oregon, 50% us.
Yeah. Mr. Pegler is going to Spain. Safe travels.
Thank you. I still got to pack and organize a little bit. I'm not organized at all, but I'm fired up. I am going to miss Oregon week, but I will be back just in time for the game. We'll be locked in for it. I think Ryan's got something up his sleeve for the Oregon preview by himself. I'm sorry, I'm going to miss it. I will be watching tape from Barcelona.
You're going to have to send some sort of audio recording I can patch in.
I could send a video. Yeah.
Yeah, my plan is just to like take LSD and watch Oregon tape and just like live record it. So we'll see how that goes. I'm kidding, obviously, but yeah, you should definitely tune back in for the pod next week. It's gonna be sick.
It's gonna be great, and then we'll be back to review the Oregon game.
Yeah,
after that.
Cool. Well, any parting thoughts?
Got to go 1-0 on this bye week and have a great weekend, and then we got to beat Oregon. That's all I have.
Let's all focus on going 1-0 this bye week. If you got to go 100% you, 0% Oregon, that's fine. Do what you got to do. But yeah, let's get out of here, man. Thanks a lot, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed a special bye week episode of Trading Twos, a Penn State football podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, please. It helps us a lot. If you're listening on Spotify, add our podcast to your library. Leave a comment if you feel so inclined. If you're listening elsewhere, I don't know what you should do there, but I appreciate you listening nonetheless. And yeah, I'll see you next week, and we'll be in Spain.
Thank you, guys.